taking a moment to answer a question about the layers of response to an experience. How can we access or provide a space where the most fundamental, innocent, wild, true response has a way to be shared when it often is being safeguarded behind another reactionary layer, a protector layer? So first of all, whatever happens is part of the process. We might spend a lot of time in story, we might spend a lot of time in reaction. But for me as a space holder and us as witnesses, if we are attempting to drop back into the resonance of our innermost response to that, we're going to help that person attune to what's beneath it. Sometimes if someone has a reaction, it can seem like a breakthrough because it is very revealing, and that in itself might be the next edge to surf. Maybe me allowing my face to be quote unquote ugly, my body to move, me to shake. All of these things are something I haven't acquainted myself with before. So that is a growth edge. That's awesome. But in order to set a precedent that I have to create a safe space before the truth can flow, starts to create a reliance on that safe space. Me as a great facilitator, people able to witness and hold me, a particular environment, a particular modality, we start to rely on something that is not innate in all environments. So once again, we come back to law of the jungle. What is the truth in all situations? I believe that there is an inherent power to the innocent and vulnerable, which makes us bow, which makes us attune, which dissolves the facade of the human control and allows the medicine of our energies. I have seen many times when someone breaks that ceiling, when someone sets the standard of vulnerability and truth, it sets a domino effect. Our nervous systems immediately recognize it, even if we're not used to a particular method or modality. And we know, this is truth, this is real. And you could call it mirror neurons or sympathy or sympathetic nervous response, whatever it is. We know we're there. And absolutely, I think that can be immediate. So I am essentially relying on the natural power of truth, the nervous system recognition of someone who's fully open, to prove the inherent safety of being open and of allowing the most fundamental and intrinsic and vulnerable and essential part to be revealed. I don't have to make it safe. It is safe. The world kneels to that power, I believe. The other pieces I wanted to touch on was the idea of the wrongness of potentially sharing a reaction which might shut someone down. Now, this is all built on the experience of trying something, failing in as much as closing someone down, resorting to heart, did that come from love and truth, etc. and so on. So there's a lot of back and forth to attune these responses. But when we have someone who is completely tracking with someone as a witness and their reaction comes out, sometimes the challenging of that reaction is the essential instrument because of that particular person's connection to the actuality. It's a self-love action to say, no, I have a piece, my lie detector is going off and I'm going to respond, and trusting that that may be the vital element which would never be shared in a quote-unquote safe space, in a space which is spending a lot of time in some ways amplifying, if not just acknowledging, the protector layer. It might be the core act of trustworthiness that when you're, on your superconscious level, knowing you're sharing shit, you're sharing your safety, for someone to call you out and go, no, I don't trust you, I don't believe you. It's like, oh wow, you could tell that my shit was shit, that you're not like everyone else that just bought the bullshit. That might be the piece that opens the person. And also because it's not just about individual therapy, it's about the collective group, organism processing. There's multifaceted journeys happening at once. So this person on stage is not just the golden child that everyone's serving. The people in the witness box might also have something. It's like, you know what? I've been in the presence of protection my whole life and I'm protecting. I need to use this moment to step forward. And so this is why we're tracking what's most alive and why it's really important to distinguish this from therapy. Because if one person is going through something and their protector's coming up and they're not quite at the core, but someone else has more access to their truth in that moment, the scene might shift to that second person. And that first person now was just an activator of that second person calling bullshit on themselves and wanting to go to a deeper layer. And that revelation, that exposure of that witness's deeper truth might actually help the first person's deeper truth. Or in the meta scene, someone else might witness person 2 reacting to person 1, and they might step forward. And that action, which it becomes a bit of a triangle here of perpetrator, victim, and hero, but that action might prove to person 1 that it was safe enough to share because someone will have their back. There's just too many concoctions, too many mixtures to try and solve this. And this is where we get too stuck on the rightness and the control. What I'm just coming back to is the end goal, which is that truth and innocence is the elixir. We will bow to it. We can't have the medicine of the elixir before it is in the room, by which I mean, if honesty and truth diffuses the situation and makes it safe, we can't try and create safety before we share the truth, because the truth is the thing that's going to make it safe. So it's just trusting the natural elements, trusting that all of the responses are the greater wisdom of the group, trying to pick the lock back to the essential core, which is, going home, ultimately. It's normalizing the sense of true response and vulnerability. It's immediately disarming. And if we get the muscle memory of it working once, it can start to become our actual reaction. So rather than it being, I'm always defending with aggression or grief or whatever that pretense is, I know it's actually safer to resort to the underlying vulnerability and truth, because that is the thing which has been proved to me, which disarms the room. So it's really about trust. It's really about allowing all the elements. It's saying that there needs no precursor to actuality being in the room. And it's also acknowledging that it's a journey back and forth, and for some, they might spend a lot of time in the other story layer. But I do believe as we create a culture that has more examples of that innate innocence and wilderness being in the room, the other starts to be unacceptable, even to the person sharing it. It's like, actually, no, I didn't get what I needed. I can feel the nervous system of those people fully opening, and I want that for myself. So yeah, that's the love that I want to serve.